Hey, welcome everyone. This again is the Mapmaking Spotlight, and today we're going to be talking with our guest Dello about making a ramen map in preparation for the community map jam. Dello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing exceptionally.
Great.
No, no, I'm doing pretty good.
Dello is a community member that's made a lot of ramens in the past, as well as honestly just a lot of maps in general.
Yeah, he's
Hello,
been
Delotrix.
making maps
However you
since
might know them.
2019, I think.
Yeah, relatively new.
Wow. Yeah, maybe it's 2019. I don't know. Yeah, seems to be the case.
Yeah,
Beginning of 2019.
3 years new. Or 2 years new.
Well, at least in map making.
Yeah. So I guess let's answer this question first. What is a ramen map?
Yes. Ramen maps are typically maps that you make in a really short amount of time, whether it be, I don't know, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, depending on what type of restriction you want to put on yourself.
Yeah, I think the original definition was that it was a map made in the amount of time it took to make instant ramen. But I think it's changed a little bit since that. And now it's just like any map made with some kind of time restriction.
Do you know who first named it?
Is
Ramens?
the title still
Out of curiosity.
No?
Title's
not.
updated on my end.
Yeah, it seems like the title's updated. Who named it Ramen Maps? I don't know. Enlighten us. Donation is the one who coined the term.
So, how about some examples, Skyhawk?
Yeah, let's do that. So I think kind of the main examples that we wanted to look at was recently there was the DLC, the Custom League, and Dello did a lot of the kind of practice week maps to show off just what you can, like what the whole event structure would be like. And so we're going to go through those 5 maps that Dello made because they are pretty high quality and were made fairly quickly.
Yeah, you made those all in like 30 minutes, didn't you, Dello?
Around 30 to an hour, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, each.
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay. Yeah, it's not like you made 5 maps in 30 minutes.
No. I think they was like spread out like 5 days or something.
Okay, cool. And what kind of like did you have a plan going into these of like what each map would be, or how much did you have in your head beforehand?
Well, since it was gonna be like a practice thing, I did know that I wanted to have some type of different maps, like to just show, I guess. So diversity was like sort of something I aimed for with the maps, whether that be in gameplay or visuals.
Cool. I'm just gonna kind of play through each of them. Some of them, I'm just like, how do I want to phrase this? I just want to like mention the themes that you use visually. So like, there's some virtual ones, but then also, I'm surprised at how many non-virtual ones there are. I guess there's just 2 out of the 5, right?
Yeah. Well, making virtual maps is pretty hard. At
Really?
least, it's like they're pretty similar, you know?
Yeah,
It's
I guess,
kind
yeah,
of
if your
boring.
goal is to make 5 distinct maps, then having 5 virtual maps might start to get kind of samey.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I think the Prism gameplay kind of is very easy to work with and easy to adapt to whatever you want to make. Oops.
Oh yeah, for sure. they're probably the most used. They're not moving around, which is a big
Yeah.
plus.
That's a big plus.
Can confirm it's very nice when your entities don't move.
The small prisms are really nice for, you know, just single light attacks also.
Mhm.
Something that most enemies don't let you do.
Yeah, otherwise it's like porkies, but they're also pretty annoying.
This one's a really
So I
nice
think
one.
every other one-hit enemy you have to have on a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, or it's like a projectile from something, like a scroll.
Yeah, I think this is the... Yeah, I kind of based this on another map that I made, and also just took like the fog trigger from Atrium or something, and just tweaked it a bit.
Yeah, so I think like reusing pieces like that is a really good practice for making maps quickly. And I think this one, like, out of the 5, I think this is my favorite visual style.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like 4 and 5 in both gameplay and visuals.
Yeah, I think I personally liked 5 the most, just because it has the most like my type of gameplay.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, actually. So, like, what would you say is your type of gameplay? Yeah,
Hitting
okay.
stuff. You know,
And-
having some dust here and there.
Yeah, having dust, having things to attack, having a character that dusts the level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all very.
The,
like a
other,
map.
the 6th map out of the 6 maps.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
one
yeah,
map
so-
Delo didn't make.
Yeah, that was like the most stellar map actually. It's kind of funny. I really, or like, I think the second one you made, the Attacky 2, even though you don't call it that, I really enjoyed that one. It was like spot on for my like type of gameplay that I just like to do fairly quickly.
Yeah,
Or,
I
like,
had to make
play.
that map really quickly, because I think it was like, I had asked my team to make a map like that entire week, and it was Wednesday, and basically we had like 1 checkpoint done, so I was just like, alright, let me get to work.
Alright. So I think I will pass it over to you, Delo, now. And we will take a look at kind of what the process is for making these maps quickly.
Hey, gotta tab in.
Yeah. So when you're making these ramen maps, like, what kind of ideas do you start with?
So first of all, I often like to start with a visual idea. Doesn't need to be anything too special, you know. Like having some sort of idea. If I want to make a lab or a virtual or forest. If I'm making a forest, I usually like to have it a bit more boosty because I don't know. It's kind of a pain to make forest, like going up. As a climbing map.
Okay.
It's just a bit easier.
So you kind of start with like the visual theme.
Yeah. Like often if I have like a tunnel theme in mind, it's kind of the most diverse since I can both have it going up and down, but
Tunnel
or up
theme
and
meaning
sideways.
like it's just an enclosed area kind of thing?
Yeah, so like it would be, I don't know, wait, like something like this, you know? And
Gotcha.
you can just,
Yeah. And then you can just fill the tunnel with obstacles.
yeah, exactly. So it's quite easy making maps that way. You can like do all shapes and stuff.
Okay.
Issue with that is when you can't really make use of it, really. It gets kind of weird having a background and you like, I don't know, you probably have some layers behind this and you show the background from like 5% of the screen.
Yeah.
It's not too nice.
I
And
guess like
also,
windows and things.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you move up, then you like move away from the background. Doesn't really make sense to make a new one higher up.
Right.
So yeah, that's usually what I start with. However, I mostly use that idea for my more in-depth maps that I actually spend more time on.
Yeah.
When I do ramen maps, I mostly just do whatever comes to mind.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like I
So like,
take some like fast gameplay out of
yeah.
like first 5 seconds, and then I just expand on it with
Cool.
based on the visuals that I just described.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I guess just like you have individual obstacles just kind of in the air, and they just kind of link together with the movement of the map as you kind of play test it.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I do when I do like spend more time on the maps is usually I do the first screen. So let's say I have I don't know, just some things here,
Sure.
and then if we just place a camera, I usually like put it at 200 or something.
Oh,
Connect node.
interesting. So you make the camera like as you go, kind of thing, or you're just trying to set up a scene here.
Sometimes.
Okay. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
usually when sometimes I do the camera when I go. It's quite annoying, but it's also kind of nice because, yeah, sometimes I like get to the new part and I don't have a camera.
Yeah.
And but it's quite nice actually because you get to see how it unfolds as you
Right.
play.
Yeah, it gives you like more of a sense of what the player's going to see.
Yeah.
I think I and a lot of other kind of map makers probably just think of the camera as an afterthought. Like just put in all the gameplay and then, oh yeah, I need a camera. But being able to kind of like see as you're going what the player's going to see kind of makes sense for picking a direction.
So that's kind of what I'm doing when I'm making visuals. I put this camera here, make like the first screen just as a, you know, a taste of the visuals.
Okay.
And like if I do enjoy it, then I just expand on it instead of doing maybe like if we have a sand map or snow map.
Sure.
And I put like these snow props or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it gets
Snow
kind of
props.
annoying if I'm gonna do the clouds. It gets kind of annoying if I gotta do that across the whole map and then I change my mind about something.
Yeah, and decide you don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a fair idea. Just kind of getting a sense of like the completed theme.
Yeah. However, if I'm usually when I'm doing like really fast maps, I often do single screen because it's so much easier. Because then I just got that one screen to worry about.
Right. Yeah, it's like
with the visuals.
Very defined bounds and.
Yeah, it you know you know what you got there. You don't have to make visuals for like 10 other screens or whatever it is.
Cool. By the way, anyone in chat, feel free to post questions and I can ask Delo those as well.
Yeah, so if usually what I do when I first want to make a map, the first thing that comes to mind is like using up my eye sharders.
Okay.
Because it sort of lets you dictate the gameplay a bit more. For example, if I don't know really, I think everybody does this, like unintentionally.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a boost like this, then you know you deplete your air charges or whatever. I don't really like holding on to them. For example, if I have this here, and you might go, you know, it just feels like a waste for some reason. And I really hate wasting air charges.
It's like the player has all these resources, just find ways to make them use the resources. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's usually what I just start with. So I don't know.
Sure.
is gonna do this because it's I don't know. Virtual is kind of nice working with because I often use it as my first couple of tiles. Just because it's sort of neutral, you know.
Yeah,
It's
it's like it doesn't imply any sort of visual style. It's good for like prototyping. It's just like a blueprint.
yeah. So what I do when I make maps, I kind of do what I like feel like doing in the moment. So it could be something like this, pretty simple, you know. Oh,
No, yeah, that makes sense
oh,
so far.
oh,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
oh. And just having something simple, and I just expand on it. So you can put a booster.
Yuki's, I think it's Control plus Alt or something
Yeah.
to replace tiles without
Let me double
placing
check.
Oh, yeah.
tiles.
Yeah, so that's it's control. And
Yeah, just control and click.
It's quite
Oh,
nice.
and then you can do it with Alt as well if you want to create a box. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Alt is the box button, Control is the replace button. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. I know I sort of gave Cookie some ideas yesterday. Like, usually when I do a forest theme, I just use that and like top off the edges, you know. Then you don't have to, like spend and, you know, copy the thing. You can just press it, control and I don't know. It's so much easier. So yeah.
Oh, that's
just
fair.
And I think that works well with the virtual tiles as well, because you can kind of make your gameplay shape with the virtual tiles, and then once you decide on what visual theme you want, then you can just switch everything over.
Yeah, exactly. As for gameplay, I don't know. I just do what so when I get to this point, I just feel like there I did a heavy, and I usually just try to implement something that I do with a heavy. Then
I think
I don't
like
think too much about it.
that comment you made about like making them use up air charges, or like more generally, I think making them use up their resources. Like they have some height in the air, make them use it by going into a boost, or they have some speed from a boost, make them use it by like having to go through a jump or something. So I think I'm seeing that you're kind of naturally like making them jump after this heavy prism, which kind of matches what you said before.
Yeah, it's just standard things for me at least. So yeah, then I just expand on it. Really, it's not too much. It's
what I've noticed a lot from your maps is there's always a very specific kind of rhythm that you're already starting to showcase in terms of how the gameplay works out. And it shows how you test it, which is one of my favorite things about how you make maps, because like basically every time you add something, you're adding one little thing, and then you're playing the whole thing and seeing how it kind of fits in.
Yeah, it all flows
and
together.
You're always kind of like doing the next thing that you might possibly do also. Like you test this, and then you start like a heavy before where there's not even anything there yet. To see like how it might feel.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And that's what I mean with I just do pretty much what comes to mind. And I also like to do a section before I don't. I like added this as a whole, pretty much, and this as a whole. I don't like adding one piece at a time because it's kind of hard if you have to think that hard about everything constantly. It's
so that way you're able to just like you build this and then okay, this part is set in stone, I can move on mentally.
Yeah, exactly. And also like most people know, I don't really play with checkpoints. I do think that kind of contributes to it. With the whole thing that Zaandaa said that I played through a couple of times and like continuing on it.
Yeah, it's just like stopping and having a checkpoint is never part of the plan because you always just need what you had before to continue on to the next section.
It does contribute though to how linear the map could feel, because a lot of the time you are playing it the same way every time and you're not really mixing it up.
That's a good point. I suppose, like, since you test it and you get just more consistent at it, it's like you start to kind of just expect people to play it a certain way.
Yeah, very consistent at that specific way of doing it. So like, commonly you said you don't really test it as worst as often, depending on the map, for these kinds of ramens.
Yeah. I never really test with any other character. I just play with the one I have in mind, really. It's...
Yeah, I think that's fine, though.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
like, for a quickly made map, I don't think it has to be, like, designed for a lot of characters. Like, even the stock maps, I think they've said that they didn't test it with every character. I mean, you can see with Hideout with Dust Kid, like, they definitely didn't test that ahead of time, so... Even high-quality maps aren't necessarily tested with all the characters.
Yeah, and I recognize even I do that more often than I probably should, just not testing with other characters.
Oh, yeah, seems like that's getting in the way now.
Yeah, so...
I see what you're going for.
Yeah. This is kind of... I don't know, I'm not too much of a fan of it, how this currently plays. So that's my one big issue here. It's kind of... I don't like waiting for stuff, that's the thing. I don't know what it is, but I just feel restless every time I play a map. That's why I have so much like hitting stuff and you gotta do things constantly.
Yeah.
And it's just
that's
because...
why I brought up your rhythm.
Yeah. It's, I don't know, I really dislike waiting for stuff. It just feels like if I'm waiting, I might as well do something.
Sure. Yeah, it's like preparing for this slow boost. Why not do a heavy at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of my major thing that the issue I'm having right there now is that I'm having too much, I'm losing too much height, so just up it down a bit.
Easy fix. Yeah, that's looking good.
Yeah, so it's quite easy. You just gotta press when you move them with blocks. I think they move sort of differently.
They used to. I think C changed that.
Oh,
maybe
that's fixed.
Yeah, I think that's fixed.
Okay, that's.
I think they
for
can still move differently.
Yeah, because with vanilla, entities move on half tiles, whereas tiles just move on tiles. As you're moving a mixed selection, you have to make sure that you don't misalign your entities by half a tile as they're moving.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, so with I think that's been fixed with Dust Mod.
Wait, I don't really know actually what to do here.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far in the playtesting. I'm thinking that looks like a good spot for a checkpoint in the middle there.
You think so? I don't know about that.
Nah. Who needs those?
But yeah, checkpoints are a bit easier if you... Oh, that's not playing well. If you're doing a boost map. Yeah. I don't like placing checkpoints really on... what do you call it? On spikes.
Oh, yeah. Spike stands.
It feels... Yeah, it doesn't feel too good.
Yeah.
So now I'm just gonna be lazier and try it out. Yeah, I move around my character quite a bit also. Making
to places that there could be a checkpoint.
I don't know about that.
I'm just teasing at this point. So when you're making like a ramen map, you mentioned before that for the DLC they took like half an hour to an hour. Is that kind of how long it usually takes you to make these ramen maps, or what kind of time frame do you usually aim for?
I don't like my time frame. It's maybe 1 hour
Okay.
that I'm aiming for. Anything less than that, the maps are kind of looking pretty scuffed. Like I still want to make a map that I personally probably
Right.
would play.
Yeah. Yeah, anything less than that, and it's like just more of a rush to get something presentable.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what's the bare minimum I can do? And actually, follow-up question, in those cases where you have really limited time, what is it that you would prioritize? Like, and what would you kind of abandon just in terms of you don't have time for it? Like, does the map really need a camera? Does it really need a fog trigger? Like, what kind of things would you say are more important?
Well, fog triggers when I'm very limited with time. I usually just grab one, those that I have saved. I got like 10 versions of the first one.
Okay.
So yeah, I usually just grab one that I,
Yeah.
have done before.
And actually, just quickly, could you kind of save this map and then go and just show us how to use that menu, like how to grab a fog trigger from somewhere, just in case
Yeah, sure.
somebody's never used that menu before.
Okay, let's say, wait, these are. We'll take a difficult map. Wait,
Sure.
let's do this. I think they're a bit more distinguishable, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're like more unique.
Wait, I did new game.
Well,
Never
you
mind.
probably just editor yourself behind the door.
That's quite smart, but let's use this instead,
Sure, that works.
if this loads.
Yeah. Oh no. Dustkid, please.
Okay, we're
Yeah.
doing this.
Editor it is. Floor's having troubles. Right, sweet.
So yeah, you just go in, click this yellow bad boy, and then click add.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
I'm
pretty
surprised
much
that
it.
that's what that looks like in the list. Okay, cool. And then so once you get back to your own map.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
But it would take me. Forgot that's a different part. Let's see. I just gotta find it.
Yeah, found it.
So yeah, you just take this, smack, use.
Beautiful.
And yeah, then it got this. It's always the original one, even if it's dust mod, I think.
Yep.
It's still the ordinary fog trigger.
Oh, I think
Or
if
maybe
you
not
copy a sublayer trigger, I think it does copy that sublayer info as well.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, I think so.
Wait, I should have something here. Wait, this was so bright. This one uses it for sure. Yeah, I don't know.
I see. Well, maybe. I guess we'll just have to play with that at some other point.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So yeah, I usually just use the standard fog trigger.
Yeah,
which
standard fog trigger is a good one.
Yeah, which I've gotten from here.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done the
that
same
fog
thing.
Trigger.
I make sure that I have that fog trigger ready.
So I basically use that one for most of the things. It's a quite good fog trigger actually, because it has most of the things pretty decently lined up.
And I think it's just like
use these though.
It's a style that people are used to, right? Like this fog trigger is used in a lot of places, and people just see it a lot. So it's just there's nothing unexpected and weird about this fog trigger.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna try what Simon said. See if that works. It does work.
Ooh, okay, interesting. So if you just put the fog trigger in sublayer mode first, and then use the trigger from the right, then it all works. Neat.
Cool. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for that aside, but I think it's a useful tip.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I learned something, so.
Yeah, same.
Oh.
Everything good?
Yeah,
Nice,
Huh?
nice ground boost.
Very nice. So one thing that I don't do too often, but I know. Oh, that explains it. That I know that I enjoy is like, I guess it's the type of CC3 gameplay where you have some climbing stuff and then you have some boost and
Right, yeah. And then some V ceilings.
Yeah, having some diversity with the gameplay is very nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just expand on these little things. It's kind of from experience. By now, I'm so used to making this type of gameplay. So it's sort of that I'm just recycling things.
Yeah. What is it? Good artists copy, great artists steal?
Yeah, pretty much. Also, what I've noticed that maybe some new people don't do enough is copying others. I know I copied quite a few people when I started, like took inspirations and stuff, and come quite a long way on it. Because if you take a map that other people like, then it has some good elements.
Yeah, and chances are they're gonna like your map.
Yeah, exactly. So I think stuff like that is pretty nice to do.
Yeah.
That most people might be a bit too scared to do. However, might be good to just leave a note that you copy them.
Yeah, of course. Attributing like where you got a certain fog trigger from, like if you copy it directly, or just saying who inspired your map is typically a good idea. Because I think there have been at least one map maker I can think of who copied fog triggers from other customs exactly and just didn't credit them, and so people kind of got upset, like, this map looks exactly like this other map. And
yeah. I know, I think it was a fog trigger from C that I used before, and I don't even know, I had it in my description, but it was completely changed. Yeah, it's like, let's see.
Oh, did you save?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like this map.
Yeah.
It doesn't load correctly there, but yeah. I believe this started out as the original, this fog trigger.
Yeah.
The base
you can
one.
still see like the purple on the layers you didn't use.
Yeah. So I've just really been tweaking that one.
Yeah.
I think I still have it up here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so like it starts as just something from another map and then it just becomes not at all that.
Yeah. So you'll see like some things that are out of place, they're things that I did after.
Yeah. Okay.
As you can see here with the props.
Right. Yeah, like it doesn't blend in with the normal fog trigger anymore.
Yeah. Although this is quite changed now, but yeah, it's just a good base trigger. And I pretty much use it for all my maps.
Okay.
I gotta know actually how long this gameplay is.
I was just gonna ask the same thing, like how much gameplay is this by now?
Like a good 10-15 seconds.
Yeah. And I guess that's a good question, is like what kind of length are you aiming for?
Okay, it's 12 seconds. I feel like boost maps should be around maybe 15 to 20.
Okay.
Longer than that, they're kind of dried out and just spam dash, so it's not. I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, you get the night hall any percent, just spam dash ground boosts.
Yeah, exactly. Some people probably like it. I don't. I don't like boost maps in particular. So surprisingly, I make a lot of them.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking that.
Yeah, I think limiting the length of the boost map makes sense to me. Whoa, moving the whole thing.
Yeah. Also, that's a very useful thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm constant, since I'm replaying from the starts, I'm noticing new things.
Yeah.
If I like always continue from the latest edition, I never would have noticed small things like that.
Absolutely.
So that's like one of the big major things why I sorta do it without the checkpoints or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should wrap this up, sorta. Yes, some ending. I don't know. Some standard ending. You just do some combos and call it a day. Do that.
Yeah, the classic ending prism arrangement.
This is gonna be sorta different, actually.
Oh.
Look here. Put some duster.
Unheard of.
And we'll prism there.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
And you don't link that prism to the end trigger so that people heavy the things and then miss that.
No, we're gonna link that.
Alright. That's looking like some
so
gameplay.
Exactly. So a camera, that's really easy to make. Just put a connect node. You don't have to do it to make it too hard for yourself, honestly. But I don't have too big of a boost. That's why it's so much easier. If you're going really fast, then just gotta go down.
Yeah, and then just tweak things to make sure that you can see them.
Yeah. Okay, that does not play well. Let's take this and do that. I think Zach answered or asked me yesterday what makes a good camera, and I kind of liked my answer. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
It was that if you don't like stop and wonder what's gonna happen next, then you have a good camera.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's like being able to see what's coming up. Ooh, that does spread though.
Yeah, we can fix that. And I'm not too sure about this actually. We're gonna have an ordinary wall like that.
Yeah.
And put this there.
Okay.
Or let's put a prism.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Shouts to new dust mod for allowing those to be selectable.
Right? I was just about to say that. It was like the biggest quality of life thing I've noticed recently.
Yeah, I noticed that with checkpoints as well. That's been kind of useful recently.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now it's ruined.
Maybe I need to move things down a bit.
It seems like it's still fine.
Also, one thing that I haven't seen too many people do is make difficulty based on the dust that you get. It's
How do you
quite
mean?
stunning. So if you have, let's see, I have this map that I made. My this one. So I only have this part of dust here at the
Yeah.
beginning.
I see what you mean.
And so the difficulty is being fast enough.
Being
not
fast
lose
enough to
combo.
keep the combo through the map, yeah. I think actually I cheesed this map. I didn't do it. Like I couldn't go fast enough, and so I just used the apple and cheesed it.
Yeah. So I kind of like that concept. It's quite interesting making difficult maps that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
kind of
many
having like
aliases there
a
were, but
minimum speed. Oh no, okay, it looks like I did do it properly. I had a 6-second time, so no way I had to use the apple there. Looks like a couple people did though.
Yeah.
Chaotic.
I don't know. It's one of the things that people don't really do, but it's dictating the difficulty with the combo.
Mm-hmm. I guess because like the goal is to go fast anyway. So people kind of just think, oh well, if I just make the challenge going fast, then people are just gonna do that, and doesn't add any extra level to it. But I think maybe just like having that as a minimum requirement, so like you must go this fast to beat the map, is kind of something that's underexplored.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just another level of difficulty you can add, because I don't feel like for lack of a better word, I don't feel like there are really a lot of hard boost maps or maps in terms of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was Yuki's made like a somewhat hard boost map recently.
Yeah, it's very easy to just like make a boost map where if you miss the boosts, you can still play the map. You just don't get to go fast and have fun. It's slow and steady kind of wins the race.
Yeah, I've done quite a few maps as well. I moved this hole down because I moved the ceiling down.
Yeah. Yeah, now that slant boost seems to line up again.
Yeah, it feels kind of bad not getting full potential. Oh, I actually wanted to try this.
Ah, I see. Okay, I was like, that shape looks a little odd, but it's there on purpose for the slope boost.
It wasn't intentional, but I
yeah, happy little
I
accident.
worked with it. Exactly.
Happy little clouds.
Wait, no, I hate using these.
Nah, yeah, I wouldn't bother. Just make it go
that.
far enough. Yeah, I noticed you made the ending an interest node. Just to kind of like
I got
focus
so much
on,
speed here.
on the ending. That makes sense, yeah. Just pulls
since
you
you gotta
ahead
get
so you
a-
can see the ending sooner.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too much of an issue if you just had this, but this one you gotta react for.
Yeah.
Since I have it down dash.
Yeah, I think
so
that's where the tricky camera stuff comes in, is when you have to make sure that people can react to things quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looked good.
Okay, cool. So as for the visuals, I gotta decide what I want to do with the map. Do I want it to be like boxed in, or do I want it to keep it open? If I were to keep it open, I probably would do forest and make a solid ground, and probably like do this, some really lazy stuff here.
Yeah. Would you like put spikes on it to make sure that people don't use it for gameplay, or just kind of leave it and hope that it's just awkward enough that it doesn't help?
I'm kind of all for when people do stuff that I didn't intend.
Okay.
I kind of enjoy it more. It's like, because I personally enjoy finding ways people didn't intend things to be.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah. So I personally, if I find a way where like Worth would be super fast or something on this map, then I probably would leave it up, because that's not my intended way, but I kinda like there being different, I don't know really how to say it, but you know, different options or different routes.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
But yeah, if I were to do this, I probably just would put like layer 17.
Yeah.
Okay, layer 17 is same as 19 on this.
Yeah,
like
just make
15.
it darker. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you know, just make it make sense.
Yeah, make sense like physically. Yeah, so like make all the platforms connect to each other so that they're not just floating in midair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's
I might
one
as
like
well.
kind of principle of the visual design that maybe some newer players don't think about is, yeah, you want to have things make sense with like the laws of gravity and things, even though that isn't something that you have to worry about in this engine. It just visually it makes people understand things better, I think.
For sure.
Unless you are working with virtual.
Yeah, virtual tiles, yeah, all bets are off.
Yeah. So yeah, the control
Yeah, careful with
feature,
this.
quite nice. I probably should make this 4 sleeves. Makes a bit more sense. So yeah, I might as well just do it forest. Currently, it
And
doesn't
you've
look
already
good
gone
at
this
all.
far, so might as well.
Exactly. Like plain or like perfectly flat surfaces aren't that normal, so I just
Exactly.
have some
'Cause
sort of hill.
you want to make it look natural in a forest.
Yeah, and yeah, right before the camera cuts. Because if I put it
Yeah,
further
just off
away, it
screen.
will, yeah, then
Yeah,
you know, and then
makes sense.
yeah. So that's basically what I try to do for the starter. Then I just box it in pretty easily.
Yep. Ooh,
Not.
actually, can you get a slope boost there with what you just placed? Anyway,
Mm,
doesn't matter. Not important.
well, you probably can here, but I don't know how you're gonna continue it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I feel like that
place.
section could have some spikes.
Maybe. I'm planning on having depth zones. Here,
Ah,
this
okay.
instead. So I'll actually already have an idea. I'm probably gonna try have this ocean water theme.
Okay, neat. I like that idea.
Yeah, I not in particular. I just got that idea from this open thing.
Sweet.
So yeah, just box it in, not too hard. This is gonna
Careful
be really
about dust
annoying.
spread though, probably. Make sure that doesn't conflict with the gameplay that you had in mind.
Gonna do this, I think. Right, there we go. Also, one thing that I don't know how people usually do, but if they have a, for example, this where it's a side heavy, and they need to have a wall, you can just put things like this. Maybe move it up one.
Ah, right, because that is technically a ceiling and the side heavy won't spread on it.
Yeah, so it's quite useful. Like using the different types of geometry. So yeah, that pretty much.
Yeah, it's looking like
makes
a
our
map
basic
now.
layer. I don't know about that.
Alright.
So, which layer did I use here? Was it 15?
How
So yeah,
about
I just
secrets?
usually. We'll see about that.
Ooh.
So yeah, you don't have to be too specific with.
Yeah, I would actually say it's better if you're not too specific.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too careful when doing this.
Yeah.
However, I might want to be.
Yeah, just make sure that you get up there, connect it.
Yeah, I don't know. Just some ordinary stuff. You don't have to pay too much attention. Same goes with virtual actually. When making these patterns. We'll see.
Yeah, you just with virtual you make kind of like a regular pattern with squares or diamonds or whatever, and then.
Yeah. So. Okay, I did pay attention to these, but.
Oh yeah, just make the outline match up with the gameplay, but with the background.
Yeah, I just scrambled.
Yeah.
Some stuff.
And I think it works well. It's a nice theme. I think those are the window tiles for the grid.
Yeah. So there's 15. There's actually 3 layers.
Oh, that's glass, not the mansion windows. That's the lab glass windows.
So these are just wait, can just do this actually.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, there.
Yeah, okay, so just lab tiles and glass tiles for the grid.
Yeah, it's quite easy, pretty commonly used. I believe I had it in...
Yeah, and if you
Yeah, I don't have it
overthink
left.
just the direction or the decoration there, then it's like you're not gonna just get anything done. Like, oh, does this blurb look
Yeah.
weird? It's like, no, it doesn't matter.
Wait,
I'd have
what's
to
my
use
map?
that.
There we go.
Yeah.
Gotta...
Yeah,
There we go.
perfect.
Looking great. So yeah, this is gonna be quite the challenge.
Those are floating pretty high there.
So yeah, that's like the first problem right now.
Yeah,
It's
I
how
was
wanna
thinking the same
implement this.
thing of use scaffolding for that.
Yeah, exactly. I can probably do something like this. Not on that layer though.
Yeah.
But then I gotta implement scaffolding things all over the map.
That's a good point. Yeah, you don't want it just in one place.
Yeah. But I could make it work. I could. This is 19 actually. I could like place it.
Yeah.
A bit here and there. You know. It works. But I don't feel like it.
Yeah, fair
I'm
enough.
not gonna do it.
It's too
I'd
much
rather.
work.
Exactly. So what I could do here instead is make a cave. It's so much easier,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's so much easier to just make a cave.
It's just, you're going along, you're making a ramen, and then after an hour you realize, whoops, I made Acropark again.
Exactly. That pretty much happens every time. Okay, I'm gonna do that because I don't care too much about the go. Also, something I do quite often is use dust blocks.
For that,
they're very rarely used, like in maps. I feel like.
Well, in this way to extend the airtime, I would say.
Yeah. Alright, so
Yeah,
that's.
I would agree.
That's pretty much a cave now.
That looks like a cave.
Can you take 15? Schmuck. I'm gonna do something different here later.
Sure.
Just get a bit more natural, I guess.
Looking good.
Go. And what you can do is like make these holes. Now we're gonna need a fog trigger. Oh,
what have you done?
And so I can use this. I think it's from. What is that map called?
Here, if you click it. Oh, is this Overgrown Temple?
No, it's that other map, the combat map.
Combat
I think.
map.
Wild Den?
Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
So I can just take these, make use of these holes. Let's put like. Okay, this is a bit too bright actually.
Yeah, it's too much yellow. When you have this much of the sky exposed.
Yeah. Let's whatever. We'll just tweak this slightly.
Sure.
I usually do that and take this, move this there. Go and put this there. And then we make this a bit darker. Probably a bit more. I don't know, the tiles are probably a bit too light as well. I wonder if I want to make this more yellow. Yeah. Yeah, so the tiles are pretty much the issue right now.
Yeah, I think the tweaking the colors like this is kind of the trickiest part. I think at this point I would just go and find a different map that has colors that I like more. rather than trying
Mm-hmm.
to adjust these to something I like.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, I'm just gonna place this here instead.
Yeah, another simulating a physical property, adding the glow through the walls of the cave.
Yeah, it's
Just
not
like-
very noticeable right now, but it's sort of noticeable.
Yeah. I think even if it's subtle, it's worth having.
Maybe this should be on. This dust box doesn't really make much sense right now.
No? Oh, I see, like, just from a design, like a visual perspective.
Mm-hmm. We'll fix that. There we go. Wow.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Nailed it.
So yeah, I just do that, and now I use Parallax. I often just use one basic layer behind, and then I do Parallax on that layer.
Yeah.
Makes it quite easy. I don't have to think too much about it.
Yeah. Just kind of like duplicate what you had on the normal background layer. Just
Yeah.
similar theme, but this one moves. Ooh.
Exactly. So yeah, I just do that. It goes pretty quickly. You don't have to be too specific with what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking
Also,
good.
when making caves, I don't know, I don't have that issue right now, but
Mhm.
when you expand, eventually you have like layers out here.
Yeah.
gets
It's
kind
like
of
it doesn't line up with the collision layer that's supposed to be the boundary of the cave. I've had that.
Mm-hmm. So what I usually do is either make layer 19 higher up, or I make it so it's ending a bit further in.
Right, okay. Yeah, because here you can kind of see, like, when you go super off screen, it kind of pops out.
Yeah.
But when you're playing the level, you wouldn't have that.
No,
Like,
exactly.
You wouldn't see that part, and it would be off screen.
Perhaps, but you can just do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Just bring it in a little bit more.
Yeah, so probably want to tweak this. Oh, that's not 17. I'm so used to using 17 as a layer.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tweak it, easy stuff.
Yeah. It looks like you made your static layers kind of like a little smaller there, so that there's more screen space, I guess, for the parallax layer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, I feel
Less
like
of
the
just
camera
one
is...
big solid block of tiles.
Yeah. Oh yeah, different fog trigger. Right. There we go.
Yeah, I think the glow effect is a nice touch, even if it is subtle.
I would be inclined to agree.
Yeah, it's it's always stuff like that you can add.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter too much. I could do here, although this is pretty open, so it.
Yeah. It's like if you're thinking about the physical properties, like your eyes wouldn't adjust to the darker area, or it wouldn't be a darker area, really.
Yeah.
And so you
there's
wouldn't
like
have the light effect.
Mm-hmm. What I probably want to do now is actually take up my layer 10. Because I mentioned water earlier, I can just do this.
Oh, you're already using sublayers. Well, I guess it's not really that important to use sublayers here. It's just kind of the style that you're used to.
Yeah. So the question... Yeah, it's basically not that important. It's just what I'm used to.
Yeah, because I think, like, so far, there's not really been any sublayer stuff. Like, even the water could just be blue tiles.
There's been this thing here. Oh, wait. Where was it? 20. I used this as a sublayer. But I might as well just do this if I want to.
Yeah, it
doesn't matter too much.
Yeah. Unless, yeah,
it's just
if
a
you
habit.
decide to do anything else with layer 20 later, then
Yeah, I probably will. I wanna probably put some stones
okay.
on this layer.
But yeah,
I don't know. I like
for that
using
purpose,
stones.
it does make sense to have sublayers, just so you can use the layer for multiple things. Does the
Although
glow
it's a
get
bit
bigger with
bright.
different fog trigger, or is it something else? I think that's just the like the color kind of blends in with the tiles differently.
Yeah, I think you just start to notice it more as you allow more color to come through.
Yeah, so if I would crank this down,
Yeah, you can kind of see that it just matches the palette, I guess.
yeah, you don't get to see like the outline really.
Yeah, that's a good
Or you
point.
sort of do, but you sort of don't. I don't know. Where was I? Water.
Water.
That's
yeah.
cool. I don't know how bright I want. That's my current issue. Maybe towards this actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that looks pretty good.
Yeah, you don't have to be too specific. With what you want to do here. I'm just gonna put a layer behind.
Yeah, sure.
Because,
Yeah, otherwise it kind of looks like the water's floating.
Yeah, and if the water was gonna float, I would have used background layers and make a horizon.
Yeah, like more of an ocean horizon thing. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I have it in this map. Oh, I don't have it left. I think. Fortunate.
Here, maybe I can try to find it.
I can grab it real quick. Like this was my third map, and yeah, then I used it like that.
Absolutely.
I've always been. This has always been bugging me.
Yeah. And then
it's kind of all over the place.
There's another prop that I think would work well here. Is there's like the shine from the sun or the moon on the water in the backdrops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which I think is
for
another.
sure.
If you're going with this style, yeah, it's nice to have that.
Yeah. Although you gotta color this.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that it's matching the colors correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Tower has this kind of water style. If you want to check out another map with it.
Oh yeah. I didn't even know that was the intended use of the prop.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not Tower. Wait, will this work now? Maybe I should do NG+.
Oh yeah, I forgot that we had this. You got a New Game Plus, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, I think in general, like handling backgrounds, you want something as your horizon line. Like here in the Nexus, it's a forest with a bunch of trees, and here in Tower, it's this ocean, and you see that little moonshine thing on the water.
Is that just one? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I guess you could try deleting the props around it, but yeah, it looks like it's just one. Huh.
Cool. It looked so much more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wait, what?
Oh yeah, put it on the background layers. Yeah, because that's where it. There you go. Yeah.
Very cool. Can't believe they didn't put it at the end. There we go.
Alright. So yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a nice thing to have. I know it wasn't intentional. I had some map where I used that, and it was like wiggling around.
Oh, okay.
Like.
If you can remember which one it is.
Wait.
Ah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. That's a neat effect.
Kind of wiggling around. It wasn't intentional, but yeah.
I'm trying to understand how that's even happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was quite nice, actually.
Yeah, that is nice. I like that. It's like the water is kind of moving and shimmering.
Yeah. I think it's just because they got so small.
Yeah, maybe.
Another use. Now it's
Ooh,
secret use here.
secret
maps.
unreleased map.
Yeah, but for example, with these, I have the same thing here. Where I put,
Yeah, I think
so
C
there's like
has used
multiple
that style
uses.
as well. Yeah, where it's just like a shading effect.
So there's like multiple uses for it, and I think that goes kind of for all the props. If you do a virtual, it's quite a bit easier since you can just make everything the same color.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing that a lot of maps have used, is just using props rather than as their item or whatever they're supposed to represent, just using them as a shape and then like combining shapes in a way that is interesting.
Just gonna make this thing make a bit more sense.
Actually, now that I think about it, is it you or Anubis who made that spider map a while ago? Because that one is
it's Anubis.
Yeah, that was a good example of like just using the props for their shape.
Yeah, same with the robot man.
Yeah, hey Anubis.
It's yeah, it's quite funny looking at their maps. I keep telling them that they're the background guy. But yeah, a good background, you come quite a long way just having. And since I made this now, I can just reuse that.
Yeah.
Ordinary stuff. I can have some here. We could have some like this.
Would you maybe do like some particle effect if you did that?
Yeah. I'm just gonna think if there's.
Yeah. And again, you're making sure like you don't have multiple different water levels in a way that doesn't make sense, because physical properties even are important here.
Yeah. So what I could do here is just have water here. It sorta would make sense, like it's falling down.
Yeah, you could maybe see like maybe there's a ledge there, and you could justify it.
Let's need to do like that, sorta.
Yeah, expose it a little more.
Yeah. Then was it right? So now it's like right over, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. This, I don't like using also these rectangles, whatever you want.
Like square corners.
They don't make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have like
got
a
them all
grass
over here,
foresty
but
map.
yeah. So they don't really make much sense.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna go outside and find a perfect square.
Yeah.
Although this one I might wanna just.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't affect the gameplay.
Yeah, so I'll probably just make this like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Can put an apple here. That's probably yeah, that's possible for sure.
Yeah. That's all the thought you need to put into it.
Yeah, I realized I can super. We can disable super to be more annoying.
I don't know about that. I kind of like.
Really?
I think just like giving people the option, because we mentioned like if people find a way to route things that isn't what's expected, then it's still good. But I don't know. Do you even get super in this map? I guess you could farm one off of Prism.
Yeah. Also, when placing layer like one props and stuff, just have your ordinary camera and then place it.
Absolutely. Yeah, make sure you're not zoomed out or anything so that you can see where it'll appear when they're playing it.
And since this is sublayer 19, I'm just gonna take this, put it there, and get brighter.
Yeah. wider.
Kinda makes sense that it's a bit. Go. I'm not sure how I feel about this gray thing I got going on down there.
Hmm.
I don't know. It doesn't look too nice.
Yeah.
So I might just do, I don't know, something in the background.
Sure.
What I've seen people do, you can put like, let's see, maybe not 4, 2. Put 2. I'm not sure how this is gonna look, but
Yeah.
do that. Make
Just
this
a
really
horizon of
yellow,
trees. Ah, okay.
and then try to make it a beach.
Ah, like sand.
Yeah, but see, I don't know how this would look like even. Would this need to be on the
Yeah,
same
I don't know
layer?
about that. Seems like the height is too irregular for that kind of thing, but
Yeah, you would need to be higher up, for sure. Wait, I actually can make use of that. I think Tauli has some map that uses it that I sort of liked before. It's like called 5min map or something.
yeah, okay.
But yeah, you're like way up there in the mountains on that map, so
Yeah.
it's a bit more. Yeah, it's a bit better with the conditions. So what I could do, I could like have a mountain maybe here.
Sure, why not?
Easy stuff to have in the background. You don't
Yeah. Tree
have to
line
do
plus
too much.
mountains plus potentially water plus sun.
Exactly, I can smack on some water here.
Yeah. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not that high. That's kind of high for the water.
You can see it over the mountain, Skyhawk.
Yeah.
I mean, the mountains are really far away. And obviously the water is gonna be white.
Yeah. Maybe a big octopus in the background.
Yeah, I'm just gonna recycle this color. Put it. Wait.
Oh, wait.
Clear
Yeah,
my
the
own?
sun is there. Oh.
Oh,
Oh God.
what have I done?
There's no room for the water.
There is room. We have sub layers.
Oh.
So the easiest thing would be
Probably
to
just move the sun to a different sublayer. Yeah.
just put that there. Wait. Oh yeah, I just want to do
Yeah.
that.
There you go.
Is it good? Yeah. Let's move this.
Oh, yeah,
Wait.
advanced tools. Otherwise, if you don't have access to this, then you would just delete the prop and place it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. When is this go live? Because it's such a useful tool.
When's it what?
Going live, like added to Dust mod.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be officially added to base Dust mod.
Oh really?
I don't know if that's in the plans, but yeah, it's just as a separate tool. It's just available for anybody that wants it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is very useful.
Necessarily highest priority to add it to Dustmod since it works well as an external tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's already functional the way it is, so no rush.
Go. I don't know. I like having it like a common theme.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I probably would have done if I spent more time on this is having this on layer. I don't know what layer, maybe 17 or something.
Having what on layer 17?
the stone, so that's an example. If we have stone here, and then we can put duster, it like goes over.
Right.
So it would more like look like the stone is exposed instead.
Right, rather than just a layer of stone on top of the dirt.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm using layer 20 right now is because shapes.
Yeah.
You can't really make
Yeah, when
these
you have
shapes
two
otherwise.
things on layer 19, they only meet at right angles, which is not very natural looking, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So this is starting to look like a map.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not...
it looks pretty map-ish.
I feel like it's looked like a map for like the last 30 minutes, personally.
I guess, but I wouldn't want to agree. I
As far as a
would
ramen map
probably want
goes,
to
though,
add some.
like,
Yeah.
for a map made with a time restriction, I think this is a very good map.
Yeah. Obviously, this probably would have gone a lot faster if I weren't talking about it.
Yeah, no, of course.
But yeah, there's nothing too special going on. It's still looking like a map. What I could do is possibly... Okay, I'm hiding the...
Okay, yeah, I was like, that looks really wrong for some reason.
Oh, I wonder if you can skip that. That would have been... I don't know. I'm not the one to find that out. Oh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, with the wall of the cave back, that looks normal again.
Sort of does, but gonna change one thing here. Wait, it's layer 11, right? Gonna patch that up.
Yeah.
Looked a bit strange.
Fair enough.
I'm also gonna change the prism, I think. I don't know, not too big a fan of these orange colors.
Yeah, I think they kind of blend in with the yellow in a couple places. I would also say that the trees in the background kind of stick out, like just how they don't obey the fog like the rest of the decorations.
Yeah. I could make them a bit more yellowish.
Yeah. Or maybe it's the opposite direction, like make some of the other things obey the fog less. I'm not sure.
What I would do, however, is take them and wait, it's too...
Oh yeah, selecting things on background layers is really weird without advanced tools.
Oh wait.
Nice.
Yeah, I had the wrong layers.
Okay.
Wait.
Ooh.
Go, just move this down.
There we go.
And I don't know, I probably would want it more yellow.
Yeah, I think that looks better.
I could put... What do you call it? Oh, same issue here. I could put some checkpoints, but I'm probably not, because I have no reason to. You can't really die unless you go there.
What does Advanced Tools have that helps with that? You can select props in groups and manipulate them together with Advanced Tools. So I think it's a control click to select multiple props.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, so if you like click a prop and then you control click another one, then you can move them together.
Yeah,
is it shift click? Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it works on different layers too.
Yeah, and then if you wanted to move them all.
Yeah, I'm so out of touch with the new additions.
Yeah, Advanced Tools is it's got a lot of features that aren't super well explained, so who knows, maybe that's something else we'll have to look at sometime.
Yeah, I was gonna...
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
what
no,
were
it's
you
all
gonna
good.
say? Yeah, I
continue.
No, go on.
No, I was just gonna say I was referring to Skyhawk's comment and what I was saying initially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think at this point it's just kind of like tweaking the map, making sure that it feels the way you want it to feel.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, that's not the
Wrong type of dirt.
right one.
There you go.
Legal tiles. Can I have that?
Yeah. They're illegal. You
Um,
can get arrested.
exactly. Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he's passed it around the Discord a bit, but I don't think it's published on Atlas. Because otherwise it wouldn't make sense as it's just a map by itself.
Yeah. One last thing I would do. It's probably change the prism. Now it's a lot easier since we have this.
Yeah. Yeah, knowing which sublayer it's on.
Kinda sad it happened once I memorized everything. What would white look like? It's like,
Oh, maybe the same color as the water?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. It's a bit too dark. Wait. Yeah, that kind of works. So I'm just gonna, yeah, I just do this actually.
Sure, why not?
That's what I usually do.
Maybe set the default for non-dust mod sublayer as well for that color.
Good. That's a good point. I don't want that though.
Oh yeah.
Wait. Gonna
There you go.
to there. Cool.
Beautiful.
Oh,
the effects.
Crazy.
Yeah, I had forgotten about the player effects being on that layer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that still works though.
Cool.
Nice.
So what I would do, I hate particles from Prism. So what I've been doing is just,
Yeah.
make it real simple. And
Go
just
into the
hide it.
particle editor.
Oh wait. Okay,
I
we're
think
gonna
it's
make it a little bit easier.
cleansed 5 or something.
Yeah, we're
Think that's
making it
correct.
easier. There we go.
Oh, I see. You're just destroying the polygon group entirely.
Yep.
Replacing it. Okay. Sure.
Oh, interesting.
It's so much faster. So what I've been doing like a lot in the past was just having glint.
Yeah.
Was it glint?
Glint
Maybe.
is a nice one.
Wait, it's possible. No, it's fireflies. For sure.
Yeah, okay.
But I can do both. Why not?
Sure, why
It
not?
looks good. Actually, you don't really have to do anything more. You can just have it at space.
Just gotta capture
maybe
that and then you're good.
Yeah, turn on the light, maybe a bit. I'll remove this as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so making particles, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
It's
super
quite
complicated.
easy.
It can just be a simple effect like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna change this, however, a tiny bit, make the life a bit lower.
Yeah.
I love seeing people do small little things like this with the particle editor. You could also make the
it's just-
density less variable or something.
I'm thinking about maybe turning it. Gonna change the speed, I think.
Yeah, you would have to find the cleansed, because there you're changing polygon ground, but I don't think that's the the right emitter. I think it's like cleansed something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this will be for all the things regarding polygons.
Is it? I don't know that it is. I think polygon ground is just for dust on the ground. Like that's
But he
just...
changed the polygon group.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you want to change the speed of like how fast particles are emitted
okay.
from the
Oh.
from the prisms, I think you
Yeah,
need to
that you might
find
be right.
that emitter.
Yes, I think that's correct.
But yeah, if you just you can change the speed, like the friction of it, or something else, and then that just, you don't have to find what emitter it is.
Yeah, I, however, pretty much have it all cranked down.
Yeah.
What I could do is perhaps animation speed. I'm not too sure if that would actually solve it. We could try.
What are you trying to do?
No, to see if it would. Yeah, so that would make it faster. Changing
Oh,
the
yeah.
animation speed.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that should accomplish what you're trying to.
Here, let me just
Oh, yeah.
for my own knowledge, let me find out what the name of the particle group is when you destroy a prism, or what the emitter is called.
So yeah, I never really.
Apologies if I make noises.
No worries. I never really do the in-depth way with the particle editor. I just do the lazy way.
I mean, for a ramen map, that's what you need, right?
Exactly. But I do it for my other maps as well. It's just so much easier.
Yeah. Okay. It seems like cleansed FB5. Or just cleansed 5? It seems like there's 2 of them, so I'm not sure which one it is, but it's one of those.
What would be nice is a search function here.
Yeah. It's number 79 and 81. One of those 2.
Let's see.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
there's
so
a lot
changed.
of different particle things there. But yeah, you could change the speed of them there if you wanted. But yeah, it's probably more effort than you want for a Ramen map, and so the animation speed kind of did what you wanted anyway.
So normally I would just call this done if it were a ramen map. Well, it is a ramen map, but if it wasn't, I would try to add some props to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
'cause
props
it's
are like
looking a bit
the
empty.
final touch. But...
Yeah. Props and probably some more type of tiles.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
already like having some of the stone on layer 20, it breaks up the large blocks of just dirt tiles, but then you still kind of have large blocks of tiles in some places you can see.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is, I often use this with your script. No, wait, maybe, yeah, layer controller. So what I usually do is that I actually, I can just show this off instead, so I don't need to do a whole editing it. Because I use this a lot in Clockwork. So for this, as an example, it moves at the same speed. It has different shapes though. Wouldn't work since it's a square.
Yeah. Right, so having multiple parallax layers parallax at the same speed.
Yeah, so I have layers 16 and 15 moved back to layer 8.
Yeah.
And I have different draw borders on them.
Nice.
I think I had an issue while I was making it that I had pipes here and it didn't work since this one came in front. So yeah, just using it for different types of shapes is quite nice.
Okay.
And also for this, I believe, yeah, for these type of layers, I have it. Let's see if I have a better example. Yeah, like here, moves at the same speed as this.
Right. Yeah, so having shapes that don't conflict with each other move at the same speed.
Yeah, like here you see they don't really conflict with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's quite nice having it in that way.
Cool. That is a neat use for it.
Yeah, that's mostly what I've been using it for, and saving my maps. I have this map that I showed earlier. This one. I butchered my layers so hard. When I sent it to you before, everything was non-parallax, and you were like, "Oh, it should be parallax," and I was like, "Ah, yeah, fine." So
Yeah.
I
Instead of
moved
moving things to different layers, just make the layers parallax.
yeah, and I think my layer 6, I believe. Yeah, layer 6 is 21.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of all over the place with this.
If it works, it works.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really nice having as a, kind of last possible save thing, so you don't
Yeah.
have to rework everything.
Cool. Alright.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Here, let's play through the map one more time. Just from beginning to end. Just take a look at the whole thing. Yeah, so kind of started with the gameplay elements, just seeing like what flowed from each obstacle, just kind of tweaking the spacing of things as you play test it over and over again.
Yeah.
Using up the resources, so if you give them an air charge, then try to use that air charge in some way. And then for decorating, just picking a style out of like the 4 main ones, because those give you a lot of tools to work with, and placing things in a way that looks natural so that you can kind of connect them and they make sense physically. Parallaxing layers, just kind of with the same style as your main layers, just to give it some more movement and make it feel more like a real space with depth. And colors, borrowing them from other maps, like Wild Den for this one. And any other things that we kind of touched on?
Probably.
And then after that, just small detailing things like adding particle editor particles if you want them, adding props.
Yeah. The simple camera, just kind of connect node and then follow the path. Doesn't have to be too fancy.
Yeah, I just zoom out instead. It's
yeah. Zooming out is a very good tool. Just making, if you need them to see more ahead of them, just make it so that it's further out so they can see more ahead of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you get good at art by doing it a lot.
Doing it a lot, but also like
maps.
stealing things. And we mentioned like some good things to keep in mind. Like if you want to have just good art without thinking too much, just like think about physical properties. Like things don't float, so you want to hold them up with other platforms and things. So you can see one of the first things Delo did was just connect his floating platforms to the ground with background props or background tiles. So just like small things like that, and like making the cave, because he had platforms that were really high in the air, and so it was kind of hard to connect them to the ground. And then the lighting props that he used, because in a cave your eyes would adjust to darkness, and so you would see light coming in. So just thinking about like what would make this look more real, and then having the parallax layers that kind of just accent things and make them look like they're moving with depth.
Yeah. For sure.
And most importantly, not caring too much, like not thinking too much about your exact tile placement. In that kind of map where you want it to look natural, you don't want to just like be, okay, how exactly do I make these tiles go? It's just kind of place them and make them look randomish and natural.
Yeah. I think that like having photos, I'm basing stuff off. Like this one, I had a photo that I based it off.
That's a good point.
I know this one I haven't done anything, but I based it off a photo.
Yeah.
That's just
a pretty
to
cool
see
effect
how
with
it
clouds.
would look like.
Yeah.
I know.
Here in
this map.
Yeah,
This one was also based on a photo.
that's a good one.
So
Yeah, you got
I
the
just go on to
fog
like,
effect with the glowing prop.
yeah. So I just go on to Google and get the code from the like the image, and I just put it into the fog trigger.
Hmm.
Because you can click here and write whatever you want. So
Yeah. Yeah, if you need like an exact palette.
yeah. And then I do some minor tweaks because I've noticed that it looks kind of different in Dustforce for some reason. I don't know if it's the
like the colors too?
lightning stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's due to the lightning stuff, so it looks a bit different.
Okay. One other question: do you rotate the tile tool when you do the random background construction? So like when you're just placing things haphazardly to make them look like natural blocks?
Not really.
Yeah, just use like
if you mean like this.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I just have it like ordinary and I drag it, and if
it looks like too smooth or whatever, just kind of use a smaller brush.
So I just okay, that's why I use a smaller.
Yeah, and then
yeah, and I just shape it.
You can get like nice irregular looking effects.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it.
You don't you just spam out some stuff.
Alright.
And also the most important thing is if you don't enjoy the map, then like who will?
Absolutely. Yeah, just making sure that as you're playtesting it that you're actually enjoying what you're doing. So making sure that gameplay is solid first before you worry about like how does it look.
Yeah. Because most likely if you enjoy it, then others are gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm actually gonna change this.
I think I'm gonna show off a few other kind of ramen maps you've made just to show sort of the range of like what can be done like even more quickly. So like if you're maybe less worried about just getting the visual style and that kind of thing, because like you've made a few maps with absurd time restrictions, and I think that even those ones can look really good. So this one, you made this one in 5 minutes, and I think it's still like it shows that.
There we go.
Yeah.
In the meantime, maybe Delo could upload that to Alice, and I guess even chat could name that map.
Yeah.
It seems
yeah.
Delo does like having chat name maps.
I mean, it's so much easier.
But yeah, I just wanted to point out with this map, like, even though it was made with much tighter time restriction, like you can kind of see the similar gameplay style, and how the gameplay is kind of the focus here is like make sure that the gameplay is solid before you worry about visuals. And then I think you just borrowed this fog trigger from somewhere else as well.
Yeah, I believe so.
It's pretty surprising how much polish you can really focus on. Like if you were to rewatch this, you can really get a feel for how much polish there is in the gameplay and the the art, obviously.
Yeah.
Just how much iteration is going on.
Yeah, here's one with more of that parallaxing look to it.
Yeah, so this, I think it went really fast to make.
Yeah, this one I think to get this kind of map made quickly, you want to use some of the Dustmaker tools or some of C's scripts. So I think like C has a tool. Oops, I'm still in the particle editor. I think it's this one. So you can go to C script trigger, and then I won't go too into how to get this, but yeah, I believe this was made with this copy tile trigger, so you're not placing each layer individually with all of these tiles. You can kind of get this effect more quickly by just copying the layers between each other. And one more that I wanted to show off was this one. Can't get the
Yeah, we could
boost.
probably do a spotlight on that in the future. Maybe better.
Yeah, if people have ideas for future episodes, always interested in hearing about that. Yeah, so I'm noticing actually these other maps that I picked out definitely use this parallaxing tile theme. So I think it just at the time you kind of were using that a lot.
I think Dell uses that so much, actually.
Yeah, I do enjoy using it. I think this was like when I first started experimenting with it. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it just adds depth.
Absolutely. Yeah, like having that depth without like, it's just an easy way to add depth compared to like having to make that random background that you made today. Just being able to use what you have already and just extend it into that third dimension is really nice and simple.
Because I think this map went really fast to make.
Yeah, I seem to recall you making these last two, and they were both pretty fast.
Did I make them at the same time? No. Did I?
I think you made them relatively close together. I remember you making both of these.
Alright, and map has been uploaded.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's just when I make maps, I just place what comes to mind. And if you don't really know what to do, then just play the map a few times and get a feel for what you wanna do.
Yeah, I think it was interesting watching you make the map and like you would playtest it and then you would reach the end of the gameplay you had and you would do some attack or some jump like without anything else, like Zaandaa kind of mentioned. And so you're kind of already thinking about like, what do I kind of feel like I want to do next here?
Yeah, so that's basically what I do constantly.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for explaining and making this map to kind of teach us about
no problem.
Yeah, it was great to have you.
Thank
it.
you.
Any
Thank you.
closing comments?
Any last questions?
Yeah, any questions from chat?
Alright, then yeah, thank you to all my fans.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
The Dellites. No.
Well, yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, thanks for coming.